What is up, everyone? I'm Anthony, back with some more episodes of Grotesquerie, and oh boy, do we have some doozies to talk about with you today. But as always, if you haven't subscribed already, this is the number one place you're going to get Grotesquerie news, because I think after these last two episodes of Grotesquerie, people that are actually covering it on this platform are going to stop, because I'm almost there. But of course, we will talk about that later on in the video. And if you want to skip ahead, make sure you look at the timestamps in the description down below. But without further ado, let's get into the recap of episode 5 of Grotesquerie. The episode opens up with Lois, Sister Megan, and the girl they picked up, whose name is Andrea, driving to the motel that Andrea says is safe. Once at the hotel, Lois checks in and notices that the lady at the front desk tried to use makeup to cover up her black eye. Lois asks if she's okay and if the man named Nick was the one who did this to her. The girl insists that there is nothing wrong and tells Lois that it's none of her concern. Sister Megan says that she wants to go check on Andrea, and the two break into a bathroom where Andrea was last seen and see the room is covered in bloody paper towels. They follow the blood trail outside where they see Nick, who greets them. Lois and Megan go inside their room and try to make sense of everything that is going on. Lois says that she wants to relax and think of their next move, but Sister Megan insists that they leave this place now. Lois gets a call from Nurse Red, who tries to ask her about her decision to sign over Marshall to her, and Sister Megan goes outside to see a car accident and tries to help the people involved, but at the same time she sees the receptionist girl who's being beaten by Nick at the pool. Sister Megan goes back to Lois to ask her for help, but Lois says she needs to use a phone. Megan gives her her phone, but it doesn't work, and Lois goes to the front desk to try to use the phone there. Once there, she is shot at by who she thinks is Grotesquerie, and she runs back to her room and locks herself in the bathroom with Sister Megan. Megan hears one of the girls fighting with Nick and says that they have to help her. Lois agrees, and the both of them go outside and see Nick pointing a gun at Andrea. Lois tries to de-escalate the situation and tells Andrea to come over to her, but Nick points the gun at Lois, saying he doesn't trust anyone. A black truck pulls up next to Andrea, and Grotesquerie comes out and grabs Andrea, taking her to his car. Lois and Nick start shooting at Grotesquerie, but I guess they took some shooting lessons from a stormtrooper, because they can't hit this guy that is right in front of them. It's kind of bizarre. It also furthers the theory that a lot of you are making in the comments, that everything isn't real, and seeing how they can't shoot a person that's like 2 feet in front of them, you might be right. Sister Megan runs after Andrea and gets shot during the chaos. Lois takes her to the hospital, where Father Charlie visits her and tells Lois that she put Megan in this situation and that she needs to go back out there to find the killer. Chief Gale is waiting outside Megan's room and tells Lois that one of the people she put in jail has been out for some time, whose name is Gloria McCall. The next morning, Lois gets a call about another murder by Grotesquerie, this time at a maternity house where 3 women have had their babies taken out of them. Grotesquerie left a message for Lois written in the victim's blood on the wall, reading, "Follow me, Detective Tryon, and let the dead bury the dead." Sergeant Jack tells Lois that the FBI has been called into this case and that they might be losing their jobs if they don't figure this out soon. Lois meets with Officer Franklin, who is with 3 kids whose mother went with a mysterious man last night and hasn't come back home. Lois talks to one of the children and finds out that their mother was pregnant, and Lois tells Franklin good work and that she can use him later on. You know, this Franklin guy, I have a suspicions of him, but again, we'll talk about that later on in the video, but I think you know where I'm going on with this. While driving down the road, Lois sees an abandoned car in the middle of the road and finds bloodstains all over the inside of the car. She hears someone crying nearby and finds an older woman crying with a bloody child in her hands. Lois asks if she and the baby are okay, and the woman replies, "He's coming." And that is the end of episode 5 of Grotesquerie, and wow. Man, this show has just gotten crazier and crazier, and not in a good way, but we'll talk about that later. Let's jump into episode 6 recap of Grotesquerie. Episode 6 starts with Lois talking to a doctor who tells her that the blood on the old woman isn't hers and that she has no signs that she has given birth to the baby. Lois goes to talk to the lady and finds out that her name is Macy and that she thinks that the baby is hers. After questioning Macy for some time, Chief Gale arrives and tells Lois that Macy works worked for Glorious. Lois meets with Officer Franklin at Glorious's residence and talks with her about Macy. Glorious tells her that she is being stalked by Grotesquerie and that she thinks that he is a false prophet. Back at home, Lois gets a call from Grotesquerie and she tells him that she will find him and stop him. The call hangs up and Lois looks outside her window and sees someone in the distance who takes a picture of her and runs away. Lois grabs her gun and chases after the figure, but ends up seeing Nurse Red at her front door. Nurse Red tells Lois that she needs to talk to her about something important, and the two go inside. Red confesses that she knew Marshall before he came to the hospital and that she attended some of his classes, and the two got really close. After Red's story, Lois points a gun at Nurse Red and tells her to get out of the house. Lois gets back to the hospital to talk to Macy and asks her where she got the baby, and Macy tells her that she knows who is stalking Lois and that she used to work with him. Macy suggests that Grotesquerie is not human and that he opened the gates of hell in the desert where Lois and Sister Megan went. After some convincing, Macy finally gives up the location of the babies as well as their mothers. Lois and a full SWAT team arrive at the location given to them by Macy and find the babies and their mothers hooked up to a milking machine. As the rest of the SWAT team secures the victims, Lois finds a mural of her with her pictures all around, and Grotesquerie appears behind her to try to kill her. Lois does some Matrix moves and manages to turn around just in time to shoot Grotesquerie and take off his mask. But before we can see who it is, the episode ends. Oh boy, so if you thought that episode 3 and 4 were bad and they were just, too much for you, episode 5 and 6 said hold my beer, because what the hell did we just watch? I mean, I don't know anymore with this show, because in the beginning, I was like, okay, this is kind of funny, it feels like a campy B-movie type of feel to the show, and I was all for it. I love those kind of movies. I love campy horror films, and this gave me those vibes in the first 2 episodes. But then, like I said, we got to episode 3 and 4, and then it was still kind of, weird in a fun kind of way, but then these last 2 episodes, I don't know with the show anymore. At this point, I just want it to end. I don't want to see it anymore. Maybe they can figure out some way to bring this back together and, make something of it. But at this point, I think they're just committing to the chaos and committing to the craziness, which all props to them. I'm not for dimming creators' light. Let them do what they want to do. It's not going to be for everybody. And so far, this one is not going to be for me. But I'm going to be still covering the show to the very end because I made a commitment to everyone here. But I will say I did like in the beginning of episode 5, that continuous shot that we got at the motel with Lois and the rest of the people around the motel. I always love when movies do that. And I don't think I've ever seen a TV show pull that off, because those things aren't easy. So, like I said, props to them. And that was cool to see, but that was it. That was about it that I enjoyed with these last 2 episodes. But as always, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you like these episodes? Did you hate these episodes? Are you going to be sticking around for the entirety of season 1? Might be the only season of this show, but let me know in the comments down below how you feel about it. But let's jump into the section of this video where I talk about my theories of the episodes and the series as a whole so far. As always, let me know what your theories are in the comments down below, but let's get into this. So first thing I want to talk about is something that I usually talk about at the end of my videos, and that is who I think the killer is. And last video, I said that the killer might be Lois, it might be this person, that person. At this point, it looks like they killed Grotesquerie, even though I don't think the show is going that way. But as far as who I think the killer is, I think it is our boy, the new guy that they showed, Franklin. I think he is the Grotesquerie that got killed this time. But for now, I think that Lois killed Franklin, and he was the one that's been stalking her and taking pictures of her all the time. Kind of makes sense to me, at least, because he's a police officer. He knows where Lois lives. He's, he has access to her multiple times. I did think it was kind of funny that somebody in my comments thought that Merritt was going to be Grotesquerie. I don't know how you thought that, but that was a thought. But that kind of transitions into my next theory, and that theory is Grotesquerie isn't dead. And I feel like they kind of planted the seeds a little bit of there being multiple Grotesqueries or a head Grotesquerie, and then he has a whole bunch of minions. Because when Lois was talking to Macy, she kind of made it seem like she was a follower of Grotesquerie and that there was like multiple followers. So I think that that kind of plants the seeds of there being multiple Grotesqueries and multiple disciples of Grotesquerie running around. But of course, let me know what you think about that theory in the comments down below. Do you think that Grotesquerie is actually dead? Do you think that that person that she shot at the end of episode 6 is actually the main Grotesquerie? Let me know in the comments down below. And the next theory that I want to talk about is something that a lot of people have been talking about with these last 4 episodes of Grotesquerie, is whether or not Nurse Red is real. And in my last video, I pretty much said that I'm leaning towards more that she's not real. But one of my viewers did bring up an interesting point that I totally overlooked, which was Nurse Red was talking to some like medical students in the beginning of episode 1, and that just kind of disproves what I was saying before, that she's never been in a room with somebody else, thus she might not be real because she hasn't had any interactions with other people. And with that, we go into this episode where she clearly was talking with Marshall and she's in a room full of other students. Granted, those students aren't really talking to her at all, and she's not talking to those students, she's just talking to Marshall. But the fact that she has met Marshall and she talked to Marshall is leaning me more towards that maybe she's alive. But who knows, this whole series can just be a dream of Lois, or Lois is actually dead. And if they do that, man, that's just like the biggest cop-out I've ever heard of, because that would suck so bad. There's been so many TV shows and movies where they say the ending, the person's dead or everybody's dead, and it's been done so many times. And I'm not opposed to doing things, again, over again, but you gotta have a little bit of twist on it. But that is it, everyone. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video and the channel. And remember, everyone, keep watching.